Hello and welcome to Mikey and Friends Terror Network Access, or as I like to call it, Mikey and Friends TNA. This is episode 1 of our ABCs of Horror, where we bring 4 films from a respected assigned letter to discuss, then choose one from each of our selections we will bring head to head and see which film reigns supreme. Ultimately, we'll have one reigning film champion that will rule over the ABCs of Horror in all 26 letters for this
Very
round.
exciting. Very
But
exciting.
I know it's so amazing. I'm brilliant, so engaging, entertaining, groundbreaking. So thank you everyone who is tuning in for the very first episode, ABCs of Horror, episode 1. A is for Austin. And I bring to you one of my super duper close friends, Austin Proctor from the Frightmares Podcast. Say hi, Austin.
Hello, it is good to be here on episode number 1 talking about A's. I've got 2 A's for you. So
Oh my.
oh,
I don't
I
know
know. I don't know what to do with that information.
a medical condition or not. Um, well, yes. Well, thank you for making the time to come with me and doing this very experimental, off the cuff type episode. So, without further ado, because I am trying to make these episodes short and sweet, just like me, we'll just get into it. I will let you go first, and then I will go after you do your first film. So, Austin, what is the first film? Actually, can I take a guess
Well,
based off your background?
I was gonna go in alphabetical order, but yes, you can take a guess off of my background.
Well, see, the fun thing is I don't know what your second one is. And
Ooh.
I don't know if we have the same. I don't know if your second one is also on my list because my A is very puppy.
Yes, go
um,
ahead and guess what my first A is.
my guess is arachnophobia. Just
That's
kidding.
it. That's
Nope.
the lady from Arachnophobia, probably, I think.
I know. Those cameras back in the 80s or 90s were real good. I forgot when that came out. But on the real, and I also know this because I also know you, I'm gonna have to go with as above, so below.
You are correct, sir. Many of you may or may not know, if you listen to my podcast, Frightmares, that I am an avid found footage watcher. It is one of my favorite subgenres of horror. So, yes, I had to pick As Above, So Below, not only because it starts with an A, but also because it is legitimately, probably, maybe next to like The Taking of Deborah Logan, one of my all-time favorite found footage movies. I absolutely adore this movie, not just because it's found footage and because it's spooky, but because there's also a lot of story that actually goes into this movie, which I will explain momentarily.
Ooh. And it's funny because you mentioned the taking of Deborah Logan. Before the episode, you asked me, what if it's a movie I've only seen once? And I was like, hey, if you think it represents the letter A, bring it to the table. I've only seen the taking of Deborah Logan once. Not, I would love to watch it again. I just never got around to it. But that's one that I saw once, and I know its greatness. I know its impact in the horror genre. That movie is so good, and I've only
Yeah,
seen it once. So this is first just further proof that seeing it once is enough.
is enough. Yeah, is enough.
Um, but yeah, go ahead. Let us know why you like it, the first time you saw it, the emotions you went through, the reason why it sticks out, and why it might be the defending champion of the letter A.
Whew, man. So let's see. I'd seen this a while back. I believe, let's see, this movie is from, let me double check. Should have had this information up. I know, so
I'm gonna
horrible.
guess 2005.
2014.
What?
Yeah, you're probably thinking of The Descent, which is 2005, which vaguely is reminiscent of, well, I guess As Above, So Below would be reminiscent of The
Just
Descent.
because they're both underground does not mean they're reminiscent. I know exactly what the descent is, sir.
I know they're completely different movies because The Descent is definitely a creature feature, and this is way more spooky and paranormal. But I had seen this a while back. I believe it was probably on Netflix. Scrolling across, and what really caught my attention was the title card. It is an upside down Eiffel Tower with a bunch of skulls on top, and it says "as above, so below." So I was like, "Ooh, let me check this out." And of course, 5 minutes in, I'm like, "Oh my god, it's found footage." Already love this movie, but on the first watch, it was just a really good spooky movie. A lot of stuff, a lot of twists and turns I never saw coming. And it actually, like I said, has a really in depth story with this girl who's on like this treasure hunt, literally, to find this treasure in the catacombs, buried deep, deep, deep within the catacombs. And she implores the help of this guy, who is a native to France. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm sure there's treasure down there," but he's like, "If there is treasure, can we keep it?" And she's like, "I literally don't want the treasure. I want something else." And it's all something that stems from what her
Slut.
father. What's that?
Slut. I'm assuming she meant his dick,
Yes, that's
right?
exactly what she wanted. No, no,
Okay.
she wanted something called the Philosopher's Stone. Yes, very
That's what I
reminiscent.
call it too. I really want that philosopher's
The
stone you have in your
Philosopher's
pants.
Stone. Give it over. Um, but it is it actually vibes with Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and it like grants healing powers and stuff like that. So her goal is to get that. And like I said, when I watched it the first time, you don't really catch a lot of the story because it is so in depth. But essentially, what happens is they eventually go through the 9 layers of hell in the catacombs. And fun fact, I think this is actually the first movie to actually get permission to shoot in the real catacombs in France. So this is not a movie set. They are in the catacombs in real life, and they go all the way down through the depths of hell and eventually come out the other end, a few of them that survived, and come out this like manhole cover that's upside down. It's a really cool ending. But I've watched it over and over and over, and I've actually started taking notes on the levels that they go through, and they do go through. At least in the movie, I've counted 7 that they go through the total of 9 levels of hell. But it's a very interesting movie. So the more you watch it, the more I appreciate it, and it's just become one of my favorite to watch over time. Plus, it's only 93 minutes, so with credits, we're talking maybe 85 total. So you get in, you get out. There's a lot of spooky elements. There's a lot of good story, and people actually survive. Usually, found footage movies, like most people die and the cameraman might live, but you actually get 3 people that survive at the end of this movie. So it's one I can't recommend enough. And in fact, I think I've watched how many times have I watched it this year? Oh goodness, I've watched it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times just this year because I keep track of it all in Letterbox. So that is my first A for this series, is As Above, So Below from 2014.
Huh. Yeah, and honestly, this is a movie that I feel got a lot of praise after it went on streaming. I don't remember because I remember seeing the trailer and it was in theaters. I didn't watch it for some reason. I don't know why. This might have been the time when I thought that found footage movies may be nauseous, but really it was just one time that I got really nauseous when I watched
Cloverfield.
Quarantine. No,
Oh,
Quarantine.
Quarantine. Oh yeah, that
When
one's
was
really really shaky.
was Quarantine before this or after this?
Quarantine and Cloverfield are both from 2008.
Okay, so it was before this. So after I watched Quarantine, because I had to leave early and I was into Quarantine, but I had to leave early because I was like, I'm gonna vomit all over this chair. And I think as someone with anxiety, I was like, I'm not doing that again.
Right.
So I probably avoided found footage. Now I love it, and I realized that it was probably just I was sitting too close to the theater, or maybe it was just because it was a theater. Um,
Yeah, honestly, found footage movies aren't the greatest to watch in the theater because the screen is so big and because there is a lot of shaky camera. So I do find that the home experience typically for me has been better just because it's a smaller TV. You sit a little bit further back. But yeah, if you don't like shaky cam, found footage probably won't be for you because it does
yeah,
happen.
yeah,
So
no, I do I remember liking it a lot. I do need to rewatch it. So maybe we'll give it a sixth watch for you whenever I
yeah,
see it again.
we'll do a
Um,
watch party on Discord or something.
yes, please. And I remember when you said that there's survivors at the end. I remember that also
Mhm.
because that usually doesn't happen, especially in found footage.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like there's usually everyone dies, and maybe the cameraman might get out, but usually they die too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you have any super fun facts about As Above, So Below?
I do. And you did say we were talking some spoilers here. So a couple of them are spoilers. The first one I mentioned is the fact that they got permission from the French government to film in the catacombs. The film utilizes a set of narrow winding tunnels of the Paris catacombs, complete with real mint skeletons creepily arranged centuries ago. At one point in the movie, they run into a man in the catacombs that they actually lost a few years prior. His name is Lateau, and he actually kills someone named Suxi, located in the seventh floor down, which is the seventh circle of hell is called violence. So that's a fun little tidbit that she gets killed on the seventh circle of hell, which is violence. And then last but not least, there's the Benji, who's a cameraman. This is kind of just more speculation because while he's waiting to climb down the rope, Benji is on the eighth floor, which in Dante's Inferno would be the eighth circle of hell called fraud. And he's actually pushed down into the hole that he's repelling into by a woman holding a baby, killing him instantly when he lands on the ninth floor. The ninth floor, or the ninth circle of hell, is called treachery. So it's possible that he had a wife or girlfriend who had a child that he either betrayed or deceived, which would explain his death. So I thought those were pretty fun facts. One is obviously speculation, the other two are factual. So those are my fun
Huh.
facts.
I love it. I love when they do things like that that require like thinking and putting stuff together. And it's not like
Yeah.
they have to tell you in the movie, oh, by the way, this is called violence. And how did Susie die? Violence.
Yeah,
Um,
you have to look into the actual nine, circles of hell, and you can follow along with the movie. Or like this is level one, this is level two. It's really fun when you follow along like that.
yeah. Okay.
Well, what is your movie?
My first entry submitted for the approval of the TNA Society is the Amityville Horror.
Ooh, okay.
I'm sorry. This movie fucked me up.
The original,
I,
right?
yes.
Okay. Just for clarification.
None of these Amityville window blinds, whatever knockoff movies they have now. Um, but
Amityville Karen.
I know. Ugh. Anyways, so yes, so the original Amityville I saw when I was probably about in middle school or high school. It scared the shit out of me. It's so funny because I remember this is the first time I ever saw red eyes being used in horror movies as like, something is staring at you with red glowing eyes. And it literally just looks like two like red Christmas lights that they put in the background. But it freaked me out so bad. And it's strange because I don't really like possession movies. And this is kind of a possession movie, but it's so good. And there's so many. I'm trying to remember. Is this, yeah, the house screams Get Out, doesn't it? Or is that the entity? Do you
It's been
remember?
a while since I've seen it, but just going by the little tidbit I found on Letterbox, it says for God's sake, get out. So I'm gonna assume that's probably the one that says get out because it says get out with an exclamation point.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember. I think it was Amityville Horror, but that might also be the entity. But either way, Amityville Horror was super solid, terrifying. Like, and then you have is it Josh Brolin? I forget. No, Josh Brolin's the younger one.
No, no, no.
Who's the
Oh,
older?
James Brolin.
Is the older one?
Yeah, yeah, he's the one that's in
Okay.
the Amityville Horror along with
Yeah.
Margot Kidder.
Yes. And both of them, like Margot Kidder already is like horror royalty. Like Black Christmas,
Oh,
hello, love it.
oh yeah.
Um, and it's just it's a family, and I think this is also one where not many people die, and it's still scary. It's such a good horror movie. Kind of like it's a little intense for kids, but it's almost like an intro to horror because it's not over the top. It's not in your face gory, but it's still really scary. And so, like, if you think that you might have a possible potential horror fan on your hands, show them this one because it's not going to be anything like it's not like Terrifier 2. You can't just jump into that. And of course, you have the whole like, is this based on a true story? Yada, yada, yada. But it also maybe this isn't the case, but I also consider it a cultural phenomenon just because the house is unmistakable and it spawns so many of those cheap knockoffs. But I don't know if it actually spawned them or the fact that Amityville became public domain, the house itself or the title or something is public domain, so people just kind of like stole that. But then
Yeah.
again, you have to have some sort of power behind your name to be able to do that and have $5 budget movies benefit from just your name. So it is kind of a cultural phenomenon. I love it. I watch it every October. It's just it's they don't make haunted house movies like this very often anymore, because usually when it's a haunted house, it's either turns out to be a demon, and I think that's cool. I like that, as fucked up as that sounds. Um, but on the flip side, haunted house movies usually tend to go the dramatic route, like the Haunting of Hill House show that
Mhm,
Mike Flanagan did.
mhm.
I don't want that shit. I don't want it. But the Amityville horror manages to be terrifying, and it's still about is it a ghost or a demon? I don't remember. I need to rewatch
Well,
it, and we'll redo this episode. But it's a haunted house, and it scared the shit out of me. So whatever.
Well, yeah, because you have the murder committed in the house, and then there eventually a priest is brought in to try and exorcise the demonic presence from the house. So you get kind of like an exorcism in there, and you get a spooky haunted house, and it's one I haven't seen in a while either, but I do remember it being very creepy. And I mean, even the remake itself, I mean, it's not the greatest remake, but you have Daddy Reynolds, you have
Mhm.
Chloe Grace Moretz, you have Melissa George. So you've got a good cast, but it's not like the original. Obviously, I appreciate the original much more, but the remake still is not I mean, good God, it's not as bad as some of the other ones that are out there. I mean, like Amityville 3D, Amityville 2 The Possession, Amityville 1992, It's About Time. Like there's a lot of crappy Amityville movies out there, but the original definitely stands the test of time, so
Did you know that Amityville 2 is like Quentin Tarantino's favorite movie?
it would not surprise me. Because he is into that weird shit, and it does have actually decent ratings. I mean, it's got a 2.9. The original has a 3, so it's still
I
got
think
some
I
good
just
ratings.
remember incest in Amityville 2.
Oh, oh boy, no. That's like the that's like the remake of Black Christmas when it got really rapey and incesty. I was like, I don't know about this. It's kind of weird. Let's not do that.
Eh.
Yeah, I haven't seen the second one. I do own the box set though of Amityville 1, 2, and 3D. I have not seen 2 or 3D. I guess I should probably watch those and then I can have an opinion on them.
Yeah. Now, fun facts of the
Oh yes.
Amityville
Yes.
horror. Due to all the unwanted fame the book and the film had brought upon the real house in Amityville, the current owners have replaced the evil eye windows with normal rectangular shaped windows.
Mm.
Boring. And I always see that house for sale.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I'm sure it's even. I'm sure even if it's not haunted, people are like, I don't want to be here.
yeah,
Too
I'm pretty
creepy.
sure they get bugged all the time, or like people are always taking pictures of their house. That's got to be annoying. It's like that the people that own that thing that Jamie Lee Curtis sat on Halloween with the pumpkin, and everybody has to go take a picture of them sitting on that thing with the pumpkin. If that was my house, I'd like I'd put what is it the strips with the spikes on it,
Yeah,
so no one
to
what they
keep
use
birds
for
off.
what they use for birds on signs.
Get off my
Um,
shit.
I know. But this I like this fact because it also kind of contributes to how great the movie is. But because the movie was made on a relatively modest budget, James Brolin took less money up front, but with a promise of 10% of the gross sales after its release. After the movie became an unexpected blockbuster, he eventually received about $17 million. If adjusted for
Wow.
inflation, that would be equivalent to a little over $63.5 million in 2021. That's a
Wow.
lot of money.
It's a lot of cash. Yeah. Wow. Holy cow.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like that's impressive. Um, and then also it was considered, I don't know if it still is, but at the time it was in the top 10 movies of all time.
Oh, wow.
So take
Okay.
that for what it is. So
Like it.
now we're at halftime. Um, so you can start our third quarter with your next A team movie.
My next A movie is a movie from 2012. It
Oh, it's
is
not the same one then.
no,
No.
no. Okay. Well, it is American Mary. I love this movie. It is directed by the Soska sisters, and it stars Catherine Isabel, who is one of my like horror crushes. And essentially, she's a young medical student struggling to pay tuition, and she is drawn into a very shady underground world of body modification, and it is very, very gory, very, very disturbing. But it's like one of those movies where it's not necessarily I wouldn't consider it torture porn, but there are a lot of elements that kind of vibe the same way. But it's just such a polarizing movie, and Catherine Isabel gives such a great performance. And I only saw it once. Um, when did I see this? It was a while ago, I believe. I watched this August 15th, 2020. So it's been a few years. But I mean, it stuck with me, and we actually did an episode on this on my podcast a while back. But it is if it's something you haven't seen, it's kind of off the beaten path, and that's why I chose it, because I don't hear many people talk about American Mary, but it is something that will stick with you for quite some time. It involves some revenge in there as well, which is also nice to see on Catherine Isabel's part, I believe. So that's one I'll always recommend, and something I have been trying to track down to own, but it's one of those movies that you can't fucking find anywhere. But it is streaming on Tubi if you do care to check it out. So that is my number 2 pick, American Mary. Have you seen that one?
I have, and that is a very great movie.
It is.
I love a good revenge movie, especially when you feel like there actually is revenge given, because there's nothing like a movie that pretends to be a revenge movie, but the revenge doesn't actually happen. And you said it's kind of like a torture porn, which, like, to me, torture,
Torture porn.
torture, torture porn has more of a negative connotation to it. But because it is a revenge movie and it happens to the bad guys,
Yeah.
to me, I'm like, you go, girl. I love
Yeah, like
Catherine
good for her.
Isabel. Yeah,
Love her so much. She is so great in everything she does.
I know. And then this is actually just like a weird side note, but I didn't know. So obviously, everybody knows Catherine Isabel and Emily Perkins from Ginger Snaps.
Mhm.
And I didn't know, but after that, Catherine Isabel and Emily Perkins played sisters again in the Selena Gomez version of the Cinderella story. Um,
Really?
yeah, that was like a random. I don't even know how I was looking at something and like a picture of them came up and I was like, is that really them? And I looked at the IMDb and I was like, yep, they were playing. I think they played the evil stepsisters to Selena Gomez's character. But I'm like, that's super strange. So obviously, someone on the Disney movie was like, you know who plays sisters really well? These werewolf chicks. Um,
Oh, that's so funny. Oh my God.
yeah, so that was just an interesting little fact. But no, American Mary is really good. It is unique
Yeah.
because it is very like welcome to the underground of like plastic surgery. Because we always hear about, people going in a van getting like a $10 butt injection of concrete. And so it's kind of like in that vein, but she's legit because she actually is a student,
Yeah,
a
she's a
surgeon student. I don't know how you say that.
she's in the she's in medical she's a medical student, so she is practicing to become a doctor, I believe.
I think she's practicing to become a surgeon.
Or surgeon, yeah,
So
excuse me. Yeah, because
yeah,
what
so
she
that's
ends
why
up
she knows how to cut people up.
yeah, because what she does to the bat, yeah. So I say it vibes like torture porn only because like what she does to the guy, it's I mean she's literally torturing him, but you're right in the sense of revenge. It's like I don't really necessarily. It doesn't really glorify it. It's like no, you deserved that. Like
Yeah.
you deserved everything that is happening to you. I have two fun facts with this one, and that is Agnes Soska, Maria Soska, the Soska sisters' parents actually remortgaged their house in order to raise money to finance the film. Moreover, both parents actually appear in the movie. And number two, the majority of Mary's patients in the film were actual members of real life body modification community. So that's pretty cool.
Love that.
Yeah. So American Mary 2012 on Tubi if you do care to check it out. And if you can find a physical version, hit me up on my email. Just hit me up at austinproctor@yahoo.com because I would love to buy that damn movie.
I was gonna say I think I might have it. I'm pretty sure we can find it for you.
I'll have to,
We'll
yeah,
see.
I'll have to keep looking, but yeah, that is those are my two picks. I picked a kind of a more known one and kind of a more not so known one. So I'm waiting with bated breath to hear your second one.
Well, I'm glad that we didn't choose the same one because I see. Tell me, I'm gonna let you guess based off of what I'm about to say.
I think I know
I
it. I think I
I
know it.
feel like this movie is the obvious choice. And I love Amityville Horror so much, but I also love this movie so much. But I knew if I chose this movie, it's automatically going to win the category.
Oh,
Can you guess based off of that what movie it would be?
well, so you said you wanted to pick one, but it would automatically win.
I
You
will.
think?
I almost didn't want to bring this one to the table because I think it's automatically going to win.
Is it
Starts with an
Alien?
A. Yes.
I
It's
almost picked that
just
one too. I almost did. I was like, oh, I love Alien so much, but I was like, I'm gonna go off the beaten path. But yeah, Alien is a unreal, dude. That movie is just completely unreal. It's so good.
it's it's gonna win this one. I'm sorry. I apologize to you,
It's fine.
but it's going to win. I don't even need to take a poll. Because usually, audience, if Austin and I have two movies going head to head, I'm going to reach out to 10 of my closest horror aficionado friends and have them be the tiebreakers by telling me which one they prefer. I don't feel like that's going to happen for this one because we all know Alien is GOAT. And if anybody is born in 1985 or earlier, that stands for greatest of all time. It's
It's funny. I thought I thought goat meant god of all things for a while because it does fit goat, but it's not. It's the greatest of all time. So
well, that's ridiculous. But you know what almost works in that sense because I don't understand where that came from, especially from you're not being a religious person. But FTW, what is that?
I think it's fuck the world, but it's for the win.
It's for the win. But for
Yeah.
anybody born before 1990, especially if you listen to like a little bit, I hate saying punk because everybody has their own description of what punk is, but
Yeah.
it was used commonly as fuck the world. And so
Mm-hmm.
when I started seeing like big companies being like blah 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 FTW, I was like, oh wow, they're really going
Oh.
out there. Turns out I'm the asshole who doesn't know what FTW stands for these days.
God
Neither here
damn
nor there. So
kids.
Alien. What to say about a girl named Alien? First of all, this is for the first one, not the second one. Fuck the second one. I'm sorry. But the second one's an action movie. It's not a horror movie. Don't comment
I mean,
arguing with me.
an action horror movie.
Literally, if you replaced the Alien and Alien One with Michael Myers, it's a Halloween movie in space. Um, Made by John Carpenter. But Alien is such a great movie. The acting is great. I don't know what the budget was, if it was huge or whatever, but like effects still hold up to this day, except when you first see the alien, that's a little silly. But
Well, because it's
it
it's like
was
it's just a guy in a suit. So yeah, yeah,
it's
just
a guy with jazz hands.
yeah, he's got like
Um,
and his hands are kind of like this. So.
yeah. But like it's so suspenseful. It has so much tension. And it's I mean, of course, oh shit, what's her name?
Sigourney.
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver of like amazing icon. Like if you haven't seen Alien, you need to watch it. Even if and the thing about Alien is it transcends horror. You don't have to be a horror fan to appreciate or like Alien. It's strange because we talk about horror movies and we talk about oh well out of these horror movies which one wins like As Above So Below, American Mary, Amityville Horror, Alien. It's if we just take Amityville Horror and Alien because they're kind of similar in age, Amityville Horror I think is a lot scarier. It's because I can't identify with being in space. Sorry. Um,
That's fair.
but also the better movie is Alien. But does it say something to say the better movie is Alien, but the better horror movie is Amityville Horror? I don't know, Austin. Deconstruct it for me. I'll wait.
No, because really, when it comes down to it, Alien is a very, very, very slow burn horror movie. And for an hour and 57 minutes, and it's not like it's bad at any moment. There's a lot of great scenes, and there's like the chest burster, iconic scene. But when you're talking about Amityville Horror, it's a little bit more ooky spooky, whereas Alien, it relies on tension and atmosphere and thrills, and then you get to the end and it's like a great third act. But I know exactly what you're saying. In terms of a horror movie, yes, I feel Amityville is probably the stronger horror movie, but in terms of a cinematic experience and going along for a ride in space, Alien's definitely the one. And they did it on an $11 million budget, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for 1979, that's actually a pretty decent amount of money. But
Yeah.
I mean, they really, it looks like a budget of so much more than $11 million with some of the set pieces that they do and all the A-list actors that you have in Alien. I mean, you have so many good actors, and not that James Brolin and Margot Kidder aren't good actors, but
There's
I
only two
definitely,
of them.
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you got Sigourney Weaver, you've got John Hurt, you've got Ian Holm, you've got Harry Dean Stanton. I mean, you've got so many good names in Alien. So when it comes to horror movies, like, yes, I think Amityville's a stronger horror movie, but Alien overall is just it's a like a well done movie compared to Amityville, which is funny because
Yeah.
they both came out in 1979. So you both picked movies from the same year, which is interesting to look at the juxtaposition between the two movies that came out in the same year. So I like
Yeah.
that. I like that you picked that. So yeah, I can agree with that.
I thought it was just around the same time. I didn't know it was the actual same year. But
Yeah,
there's one thing I know
1779.
about my friend Austin is he comes with the facts.
I try.
Um, some interesting facts about Alien is the original cut of this movie is 3 hours and 12 minutes. I don't know if I would watch it. I
Good
think I would.
God.
I think I
Wow.
would.
I mean, it's Ridley
Um,
Scott. He shoots a lot of film.
yeah. Harrison Ford turned down the role of Captain Dallas. I would have liked to have seen that.
That would have been a
Um,
different movie. Yeah, that would have been a different movie for sure.
this one actually I think is really interesting. Hopefully, y'all don't know about this yet. Ridley Scott cites 3 movies as shaping influences on this movie: Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope, um, 2001: Space Odyssey, obviously,
Okay, yeah.
and for the depiction of outer space, and then for its treatment of horror. Can you guess what 1974 movie inspired Alien?
I
I just
wouldn't
watched it
say
yesterday.
I wouldn't say Black Christmas. And the only other one I can think from 74 is Texas Chainsaw?
That's it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
I'm
That's
trying to put all those 3 movies together. It's almost like, how you have AI and you're like, hey, AI, make a movie that combines Star Wars Episode 4, Space Odyssey, and Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then it spits out Alien.
okay. I'm gonna have to do that now because I just downloaded an AI app that I've been fucking around with. And it's a lot of
Oh my
fun.
god. Yeah,
Ah,
they're very addicting. Um,
oh man.
now, Austin,
Yes.
are we willing to admit Alien takes the cake, or do we need to take this to our 10 colleagues, co-hosts, and cohorts?
I don't think we should take it there because I mean, at least in my rating wise, Alien has a 4.5. I mean, As Above, So Below also has a 4.5, but I know I'm going to be very alone in that rating only because I've watched it a billion times. So as a whole, I think we could say Alien definitely takes the cake. I don't think we need to take this first one too. I mean, I would still just for shits and gigs, maybe, but between me and you, I'll agree that Alien is the takes the cake for this one.
Okay, there you have it, folks. The very first official title holding champion for the ABCs of horror right now is Alien.
I like it. And that's a strong start, though. You got 25 more letters to go in the alphabet. So starting with Alien, that is a fucking strong start.
I know. Well, saddle up because you're going to be on a bunch of those episodes, sir.
Ooh, shit.
You have no say in the matter.
That's fine. You tell me where to be and I'll be there.
That's right. But I can tell you where our audience can find you and where you'll be is you can find Austin on Frightmares Podcast wherever fine podcasts are sold. You can also sometimes hear my sultry voice on the episodes, depending if Austin needs me or not. But with that said, Austin, thank you very much for joining. I couldn't have asked for a better first co-host of the ABCs of Horror. Until then, we'll be back with the wonderful letter B next week. But till then, comment, let me know your thoughts. Let me know how you feel about these 4 movies or any movie that you would have selected to represent the letter A. Until then, sleep tight, turn the lights down. I don't have anything to say at the end of this show, so I'm just kind of BSing it.
Sleep tight and don't let the bed bugs bite.
Yeah, arachnophobia. That's probably going to be the ongoing joke now, is that arachnophobia was not chosen, but I'm going to keep mentioning it.
It should be the winner of the whole thing.
I know. But anywho, okay, bye everyone, and I hope you enjoy my theme music that I will be getting soon.
Bye.